Thank you very much, gentlemen, for joining us on this, the second edition of Pirelli Bike of the Year.
And there you were, talking again.
But I was talking to a point. We are not only judges on the Pirelli Bike of the Year, we're also, for our sins, the organisers behind the whole competition.
That's right, we've just completed the two-day event where Matt, myself and 12 other journalists from South Africa, we went out and we basically tried to decide which of the 9 finalists was the overall winner.
But before we got to that stage, we had to decide on the 9 finalists. Now, to be eligible, a bike must simply be new or a major update for 2014, and this must be in the last calendar year since we ran last year's Bike of the Year competition, which the GS won, by the way.
This is the thing, and it can't be a paint job. A paint job doesn't cut it. It's got to be a significant mechanical upgrade or a completely new bike, and there were actually plenty of both in each category.
Absolutely, and what was surprising is that we noticed pretty early on among the finalists there was something of an unexpected trend, and it wasn't just us who noticed either.
The big story this year for me was the fact that there was a ton of naked bikes and a ton of very flash naked bikes as well.
What was interesting for me is the number of naked bikes that are suddenly coming onto the market. So we see quite a change. It's a lot of fun.
– 2014 is the year of the naked bike. More than half the bikes we took this weekend were naked. And they're not boring naked bikes like many of the previous naked bikes used to be. They're, should we call it, a new era of naked bikes, where naked bikes make lots of horsepower, lots of fun, and you keep smiling.
A lot of naked bikes, which out on the highway is not as much fun as it could have been.
In previous years there were a lot of dual purpose bikes being bought and a lot of super bikes. Now it's a lot of nakeds.
A lot of naked bikes this year, which is nice to see that naked bikes have changed. Not as much wind interference with the rider when you're riding these modern naked bikes. They really have got the science right and the art right.
There are a number of really good bikes, so it is probably going to be fairly difficult to settle on one bike. Several bikes are very good in different areas.
A lot of naked bikes. Being a child of the 80s, it's almost nice to see a comeback. There were a lot of naked bikes, which was interesting. You know, it must be making a comeback.
Some of the bikes punched well above their weight, were a great surprise. One or two, I have to say, were a little bit of a disappointment.
So there you have it, 6 out of the 9 finalists were naked bikes. Now that is pretty bizarre for South Africa, isn't it?
It is. The old naked bike hasn't been well received in South Africa ever, really. I've noticed a few are picking up. Look, for me, it's the perfect way to go motorcycling, but and the rest of the world seems to think so as well, because the engineers at the manufacturers are obviously just filling a need.
This is the thing, and I mean, it's not really the fact that the buying public are demanding naked bikes in this country. It's just that's what the manufacturers are bringing out. So those are the new bikes.
Yeah, so 6 or 9, it tells you everything you need to know about, at least in the rest of the world, where the general direction of motorcycling is headed.
So how do you actually go about testing 9 completely different bikes? Well, you've got to have a good route. Now, obviously around Gauteng there's lots of very flat, very straight, very boring roads, so we thought we've got to get out of here. So the idea was to head over to Sabi, which gives you a lot of highway miles, boring but necessary, and then some fantastic twisty roads when you get there.
Yeah, so we headed north to Pretoria, cut along the N4, Belfast off their lunch in Dulstroom, and from there the roads are getting faster. By the way, that road from Dulstroom to Leidenberg is in a terrible state, isn't it?
It's horrible.
It's always been.
But it's quite a good road, if you can call it a good road to travel on, because then it tests a lot of suspension sort of compliance, and especially in the sportier naked bikes.
Yeah, it's very true, very true. Then you get to Leidenberg, and of course we all know it from there. We're on the Long Tom Pass, which is, I don't know, it's like an Isle of Man replica. It's super, super fast. Good quality road surface, into Sarby, quick drink, and then off on the final leg of our trip, which is the famous 22, the Sarby to Hazyview Road, which really is, it's a long time since I've been there, but what a superb ribbon of tar.
All the way out to Hazyview, the riding around Sarby was just insane. We were blessed with very good weather this year.
But in the twisties, we spent quite a bit of time on the 22 between Sarby and Hazyview. Got quite a bit of insight there in some of the naked bikes.
It's interesting riding on those long freeway sections at times, but they certainly were fun in the twisties and in the roundabout.
It's been interesting, good roads, going up that way. I mean, as a Caledonian, I get a lot of time to get out to Sarby and places like that. Really enjoyed the road. It was a good choice.
It's lovely, and it's in really good nick.
Yes, it is.
For about 30 k's until we got to our overnight stop, which was at Bohm Cederberg. Thomas Bohm is well known. He runs the BMW Rider Academy, and he very kindly put us up. But that stretch of road is magnificent.
Yes. Worth saying about Mr. Bohm, thank you very much. Great place to stay if you want to be up in the Mpumalanga area and riding bikes. He is a rider, and not only did he come out with us on the road bikes, but he very thoughtfully laid out a dual-purpose adventure route for us, which gave us the opportunity to test properly the two adventure bikes that we had with us.
Or 1.5.
1.5. That's very, very rude. The V-Strom is nice. Okay, so we've got a route that includes, and the nice thing is, in the afternoon and the morning, by the way, when we arrived, the ability to jump off one bike straight onto its competitor or straight onto another bike gives you an unrivaled view into what the two bikes are like comparably, doesn't it?
Oh, completely. You can feel exactly, straight away the differences. You know, all the similarities.
Indeed, between the bikes. Okay, so we've got the bikes, we've got the routes, we needed the judges, and now how do we choose those? Well, basically it comes down to motorcycle journalists who are in the industry, have been for a long time, and then newspapers and publications get a massive amount of reach, because obviously Pirelli wants to reach as many people as possible with this Bike of the Year news. And I tell you what, it's quite surprising of the age range and mix we've got, and the level of experience is astounding.
Well, we worked out there's probably about 300 or 400 years worth of riding experience, untold millions of kilometres of riding experience.
And very different types of riders. Some guys who prefer their adventure bikes, they've got one at home. Some guys who like their hardcore sport bikes. So I think for a proper, unbiased, independent view of what is South Africa's Bike of the Year, you can look for no better group of people.